Hi, I'm Bob Asher, Executive Director of Prime Plus Senior Centers, and this is Prime Time with Bob. And I'm with a really special person for a whole bunch of reasons, and stay tuned because you're going to find out why. Amy Gilman, how you doing?
I'm good, Bob. I'm so excited to be in the Prime Plus with Bob this
Yeah.
morning. Thank you.
Well, I hesitated because I was going to give you a title, but you're a loving caregiver, you're a physical therapist,
Yep.
you are a daughter,
Yep.
all kinds of, and the mother of a puppy.
And two teenagers.
Oh boy, who are doing homeschooling.
No, they're in school, thank goodness. So yes.
So they won't be coming in and asking for help.
Yeah, you never know. How long
So,
this-
Amy, we're going to talk about Parkinson's today. How did you get involved in doing Parkinson's?
Well, I'm gonna try to make it not a long story, but my background is actually in I was a physical therapist assistant. I'm local. I went to Old Dominion University, then went on to do a physical therapist assistant. Been in that field for 20 years. But really, what got me to really drive me into Parkinson's, unfortunately, was my dad, who was diagnosed with Corticobasal Syndrome. He, at one time, could run me around the block. He was diagnosed. It's in the same family as Parkinson's, and unfortunately, he passed 6 years ago. But as a caregiver, that and my therapy side of things was really where my passion came to try to make him as functional and to live life as much as he could, as long as he could. So he was a special guy. You know, he loved to tinker, he loved to play golf, he loved to fish. So seeing those things taken away were really tough. But luckily, my background, I was able to just try to help him as much as I can with my knowledge as caregiving as well as therapy. So
I was talking with a caregiver from someone from our adult day this morning, and I related to the journey as almost a family vacation.
yes,
You know, and just because something on that car trip didn't go quite right, you didn't cancel the vacation trip.
nope.
So, what's COVID done to that family vacation car trip
I
for
think,
someone with Parkinson's?
it's definitely, it's maybe when you think on your vacation, it's going to be sunny all 7 days.
Mhm.
When you're on a vacation, sometimes that doesn't work out. It may be rainy. You may be heading to Florida, it's rainy. This is a long storm for so many right now, and it's still going on. I think it is maybe in some ways, as a caregiver, I can't imagine maybe the challenge is a little more of having to be home, having to maybe keep an eye on the person that is maybe dealing with a disease, a disability, and what that must be for them. But at the same time, I think it's really important when you have the landscape of people that can maybe come along the way and help out. That's where you being in walking in someone's shoes and seeing what that looks like and being able to help them is probably one of the greatest gifts for me to be able to share and do. So it's part of the journey, and my dad was really good about, even though challenges came along the way, he still tried to enjoy the journey.
But you created that environment as a caregiver, so he
Yeah.
could continue to enjoy the journey.
Yes, we did. We tried, we still would get outside when we could. We'd take drives. We watched his favorite TV shows together, all of those things that were still important.
We have a routine Zoom meeting for the caregivers that are part of our adult days
Very
service program, and they started off with sharing information, sharing facts. They wanted to know when were we going to reopen, what were our costs going to be, some of those absolutes. And then all of a sudden one day someone said, "Hey, by the way, I have a question. How do you have home care?" And when I discovered them talking with each other and dropping some of those barriers, because there's a pretty good chance that if, as a caregiver, you're going through some angst because of COVID, somebody else is too, right?
Yes, absolutely. You're not alone in this. And I think with COVID, you probably feel like that. So I think what I think COVID has done in some ways, if you have access to technology and Zoom, which is in our benefit right now, you're able to realize that is really amazing what Prime Plus has done, because you start to realize you're not alone and there's an outlet for you. And the thing is that right now, the point is you gotta have an outlet as a caregiver, for sure. That's 24/7, it's always there. But also an outlet for these people that do have a disability or have an injury or have a disease. All of it is important. So being able to communicate, yes, absolutely.
Okay, you went from being a daughter
Yep.
to a physical therapist
Physical therapist assistant, yes.
and a caregiver.
Yes.
I'm going to be real frank with you. When I think physical therapist, I think pain. No pain, no gain.
Well, we used to
Come
say
on.
PT was physical torture. Yeah, many people do, but you know, we can give you, we can challenge you with a smile. How about that?
Okay. But in the case with, and I've been blessed, I haven't had the injury where I had to go in, but I've seen people who went in with the shoulder and the focus was the shoulder, or the hip replacement, the focus was the hip. How do you approach someone with Parkinson's as far as physical therapy?
Well, when you go into therapy, usually it is kind of a broad spectrum. Sometimes you work in a home health, and I've been fortunate enough that I've done home health, I've done outpatient, I've done rehab. And then you kind of start to realize where should you land? Is orthopedic your thing? Are shoulders your thing? Neurological diseases were my thing, and especially maybe my dad with that drive to see what he went through was actually why I did it. It became my passion. I got certified in it afterwards, and you just start to realize where's your niche. And with Parkinson's, it's I won't say it's not painful. It's the exercises are challenging, and they're difficult a lot of times for patient, because you're challenging them to be as functional as they can, as strong as they can, and to move as normally as they can. So, in saying that, I was certified in a program called BIG that is actually designed for Parkinson's patients. And it's kind of a regimen program that they go through. But how I've looked at my small business that I'm doing now is coming from a caregiver and a therapy side. I've grouped that together. So for me, I help people who need by Zoom. We do exercise. A lot of times Parkinson's can take a motor, or it can take a cognitive view. And actually, COVID, here's another thing. You're not as stimulated with going to Prime Plus and being in a class and having that community. So cognition can be a thing as well. So we work on cognition skills, we work on motor, we work on exercise if they need an assistive device. So it's kind of maybe a more holistic view is how I approach it.
I usually during these prime times, somewhere I'll fit in a confession. So here we are, 9 minutes in, it's time to confess.
Yes.
Thank God for Zoom, because it doesn't show me below here, because I've picked up that COVID weight.
Yes.
And I was so busy in the early stages of COVID, reacting to COVID, that I didn't have time to binge watch. Or now I'm discovering that I'm sitting in one show after another of HGTV, or I've discovered a really good one that my wife loves.
Yes.
And so before I know it, it's time to go to bed, and I haven't moved.
Okay.
So what would you suggest as a physical therapist that getting out of that pattern, besides taking Zoom classes with Prime Plus?
I honestly think one of the biggest things is a routine. It's just like what we would tell patients if they had an injury or had a neurological disorder. You got to have some type of routine. Maybe you're better in the morning, so that time in the morning is when you get up and you take a walk or you do your exercises, and then you have time. Then maybe part of your discipline and that you did is that then you get to have your time when you want to binge watch, or you want to watch a show, or you want that little dessert. But I think having
one dessert.
Yeah, one dessert. Okay, yes. My son would say no too. His side's not full is what he would say. So I think just having a regimen, even in COVID, is very important. A schedule. I think scheduling is important.
So what I'm hearing is routine, activity,
Activity for
and
sure.
and it not necessarily doing, push-ups and that kind
Nope,
of thing, just moving.
just moving.
But more importantly than anything, staying connected.
Staying connected is very important right now. It's
I,
community. It's a way of still having your community to know that you're not alone, to also take you out of what your situation is for a bit and just feel a little normalcy. Right now, finding normalcy is really difficult. It is. So to have it is really important.
well, and I've been saying all along that, keep doing what you normally do, just do it differently.
Yes, that's great.
But that can cause stress. And just kind of some inside scoop, I lost this Zoom meeting.
Okay.
And at 10:59, the minute before we're supposed to go, I had to get creative and figure out a solution.
Yep.
That could become stressful. Now, luckily, I've lost Zoom meetings before. So,
Yes.
but what does that do to a Parkinson's patient? That the norm gets screwed up.
Well, I've been able to be in a support group that just by Zoom, once again, virtually that meet. And I'm sure anyone with a disability or maybe with a neurological disease or with an injury, I think when you become anxious or there's the stress of COVID or what that is, sometimes those symptoms can increase. And at first you may not realize it. Like, why for Parkinson's, why is my tremor seem to be happening before the time, earlier than what I need to take my medication? So stress, obviously, how sometimes we internalize so much. You may sometimes with stress feel your heart rate, or you may feel a little nervous. For people with a neurological disease like Parkinson's, it can enhance those symptoms. So knowing, okay, how can I try to really focus, maybe change how I look at things, what I can control, what I can't control. It's what we deal with on a regular basis,
Yeah.
but for them, it's a much bigger challenge right now.
Well, I'm going to go back on this because this is my COVID relief.
Your fish.
My kids gave me an aquarium. However,
Yes.
I got up this morning and discovered that the most expensive fish I've bought
Oh no.
is not there for my pleasure. It's there to clean the tank. I haven't found him in 3 days. He's got to be in there, but I'm letting it go. I'm not going to stress over it because someday a very giant algae eater will show up in my tank.
Yes.
So,
Well, this could go 2 ways. I'm hoping it's going that way for you.
on that note, I want to thank you for
Yes.
turning your passion into something that really can make a difference, one lifetime at a time. And that's really what this is all about. That's how we get through COVID. How can we give it away, right?
Yep. How you can do it. And you just got to keep moving, keep trying, keep taking it day by day.
So, Amy, thanks for everything. I've enjoyed this conversation. I'm looking forward to us working together, though, to kind of bring an awareness, but also a home for resolution and solution to a Parkinson's journey.
Well, me too. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to talk with you and just looking forward to what's ahead for sure.
Super. Thanks a lot. And keep in mind, stay safe, but stay connected. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bob.